Welcome to the Puck Prattlers podcast, your things for all NHL. Today we have a couple guest stars on the podcast. Next to me, of course, is Robbie Gauthier.
Hello, everyone.
And to his left is Jack Kelly.
That's me.
And to my right, Michael Rutherford.
Thanks for having me on the show, Maddie.
Of course. Today we're going to be talking about the Pacific Division mainly, but we're also just going to be ripping into Jack because he's a big Leafs fan.
First off, I'd just like to say, Jack, I envy your support for such a terrible franchise for the past 22 years. Before we get into anything, I just want to hear your take of why you're a Leafs fan and what you think they're going to do this season.
Kick ass, dude. Win cups, smack butts. Doesn't have to rhyme for it to be real.
All right, that answered none of my questions. Yeah, so who are we talking about again?
The Pacific Division.
Oh, right, the Pacific Division.
So we can roll right into it. And speaking of rolling, those Vegas Golden Knights are absolutely on a tear right now to start the year. They've just been killing it again, coming hot off their cup run. And their decor looks like one of the best in the league again. Their goaltending solid, and then they've got like one of the best coaches in the league, so everybody buys into the system, and it's going well down there in Vegas.
I hate Vegas because they're new.
I think we've gone over that.
I think we've gone over this, but I still hate them for being new. Just like how my friend next to me, Jack here, he's been a Leafs fan for what now, 22 years? How many third-round playoff appearances have they made?
Let me tell you something about the playoffs. They're hard, dude. They're so hard. Even though every year 4 teams are able to make it to the third round, it is still so hard. So I just, I don't know. You know what? These guys, I don't think they're given enough money, really, to really have the incentive to go that far. And I think that's why that they don't make it that much. I think if Matthews had $5 more million, if Nylander gets $10 million with a $10 million signing bonus, then maybe they can get swept in the third round sometime.
I disagree with Robbie because I like Vegas because I think they perfectly epitomize everything that is wrong with the Leafs and how you should actually run an organization.
I don't.
You don't need to pay 10 guys $11 million to win a Stanley Cup. You need the exact opposite of that. Otherwise, they get entitled and don't play good hockey.
Wait. I don't dislike Vegas's hockey play. I just dislike them because they're new.
I agree. I'm the same.
I think they're a great team. I think they're well coached, and I think every single one of their players complements each other. But
Can't beat the Dogs.
just because they're new and they don't deserve to win that quick. That's really why I just don't support them.
As a Leafs fan, I completely agree with that as well too. It really irked me that in the last 50 years, the Leafs didn't go to the finals once, and then their first season, the Knights did, and that did not feel good for me.
A lot of people around the league, like fans, hate the Golden Knights. I'm on the opposite of that. I think they're a great team. I agree with Mike. Like they're built really well, and they're a fun hockey team to watch. And they went and they won a cup, and like good for them. Like it's awesome to see a new team come in and win so quickly. Like the first year they made it to the finals. Obviously Washington beat them, but just to turn around like that quickly and then like build such a good team right off rip, it was perfect. Like it was so much fun.
Pardon me, after you. I was just gonna say, like I remember last season and the season before, a lot of people were giving. Can I swear on this? Yeah. A lot of people were giving Vegas doo-doo for being like really.
Whoa! Watch your language, Jack. Holy smokes!
Shit, there goes the ads. Nuts. But a lot of people were giving Vegas shit for being like so ruthless, like with their players, like moving on from Pacioretty really quickly, cutting guys really quickly, the way they kind of handled Dadonov, kind of going back and forth. But I don't mind that as much. Like I think being that ruthless is like what helped them win and bring in the guys that they knew they needed, even if it meant sacrificing, these bumps, like with Fleury and Lehner, and kind of how, they built the Vegas culture in the first 2 years and then just tossed them to the side as quickly as they got him. I'd say Boston does that really well as well too, with like fucking off from like Chara, Rask, yeah. Yeah, like, but like Sagan, like just like tossing these guys to the curb, like the first chance that they got. And every year, everyone thinks that they're going to be shit, but every year they're frustratingly very good. I want to say McPhee worked briefly with Boston, so it might still have that, like McPhee being the GM of Vegas, because I know Mike doesn't know who that is, so I just thought I'd help him out there. Yeah, those are just my thoughts, and you probably won't hear from me for the rest of the pod.
All right, thank God. So we've talked about Vegas, Matt. Who do you want to talk about next?
I want to talk about who I'm repping today. Let's talk about them Kings down in LA. I think they're a great team. Obviously, like they lost 3 kind of crucial forwards to their lineup last year in the Pierre-Luc Dubois trade, which I think hurt them. And as well as losing Arvidsson for most of the year is gonna on that power play. But I don't know. I like how their team's built. I still think they're strong. Pierre-Luc Dubois hasn't had a great start to the year, and he hasn't really been a great player from what I've seen. But for the most part, I think they still have a strong forward core. Quentin Byfield's really stepping up. He's great on the forecheck. He's playing well. They got a great fourth line with like Grundstrom, Lizotte, and can't think right now. But then their D-core, they got Mike Anderson, Doughty, Roy, Gavrikov, and Spence with Englund. And that's like a good bottom pair as well, because Spence is a smart player and then Englund's a big body, so it complements each other well. In net, it's a bit of a struggle, but honestly, they've kind of started off pretty hot, so we'll see how it goes. I think they'll make the playoffs, and yeah, does anyone else have anything to say?
Phoenix Copley their other goalie?
Let's not forget to mention they have one of the best assistant coaches in the whole league.
Oh, yes.
Indeed.
Jim
How could I
Hiller.
skip over that part?
Shout out to Jimbo.
Big Jim
They're
Hiller
winning the
fans,
cup,
dude.
obviously.
Huge
Yeah.
Hiller fans in the house.
Shout out for letting him have us over every single recess in high school to play mini sticks. Lunch, my bad. I liked recess better
Big
than
boy
lunch.
recess.
Well, I think the Kings are good. They're well built, but I don't really know how they're doing. I haven't really been following the Pacific that well.
Yeah, that's fair. I think they're second or third in the division.
Oh, damn.
Maybe third because Vancouver might be second right now.
I think Vancouver's one, right?
Yeah.
Vancouver is one.
Really?
Can we
Yeah.
talk about
Vegas?
the wagon that is Vancouver? right
Vancouver is
Okay.
a fucking disgusting.
I have a question for you guys. Is this sustainable for Vancouver? Because
So
it seems
the
like they're
thing-
good
the thing
out of
is
nowhere, dude.
Is that they're good off rip. All they have to do is play 500 hockey now to make playoffs. Like, they don't have to go on a tear the rest of the season. Like, when you get off to hot starts, like, your chance of making playoffs skyrocket. Because, like, it's seriously just 500 hockey the rest of the year. And you're in playoffs.
So I should say, do you think they'll be able to stay like top 3 in the division, like top 10 in the league, like they are like right now?
I'm sure they'll probably end up being top 3 in the division, probably third. I think it's going to be Kings Vancouver, and quite honestly, as a Kings like supporter, I taking that matchup 10 out of 10 times over Edmonton, because I don't think Vancouver is going to hold up in playoffs,
I don't know.
like at all.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think their team's built well for it. Obviously, they have Demko in net, and he's an X factor. And he's, like we saw in the bubble playoffs, he can turn it on.
So
I just don't like their decor, and they've got some good forwards over there, but I don't know. I think they'll get trampled in playoffs, to be honest.
Tyler Myers is probably my favorite defenseman, just because how much he reminds how like just such a classic Leafs defenseman where he's so shit in his own zone. Like if it could be like a dump and chase. If Myers is going into the corner, the puck is going the back of the net in his own net, and it is just lovely to watch.
It's crazy because like 5-6 years ago, he was like one of the better defensemen in the league. He was,
Yeah,
he
when
was
he was at
super
Winnipeg, he was
underrated. Like
gross.
he was such a good defense because he's big. He's got that body and he played intense. But now he's just like soft and he's just doesn't do anything with his size, and he's stupid.
Quick disclaimer: if Jack tries to act like a GM, it's just because he's a Leafs fan. You don't have to listen to what he has to say.
When Dubas was fired, I did send in a ton of resumes to MLS.
How'd that go?
Yeah.
Well, I'm sitting here right now, not in Sweden, so
If you were there right now, would you bring Kane to the Leafs?
no. What are you talking about? Absolutely not.
Every Leafs fan and their mother right now thinks Kane's going to the Leafs.
He's not wrong.
Really?
Yeah.
Well-
He's been training in Oakville, and then like
Yeah.
Has he been?
yeah,
He loves Toronto. He wants to be in Toronto, but he's
a
not.
Toronto player, to be honest.
He is a Toronto player. He fits their system. He would be terrible for Toronto. He would not help them win any more hockey games than they do right now.
But they obviously don't need more depth. They obviously don't need more depth, and they know that.
Okay, yeah, I agree. They won't happen. It's mainly what I'm mainly getting at as someone who grew up in Ontario with Leaf fans. You know, if you're not a Leaf fan, every good player that is going up in free agency looking for a trade is automatically going to the Leafs, and it is infuriating. No, they're not. No, they're not.
Yeah, I do get that. I put together a couple mocks for the last Jack Eichel, Brent Burns, he was available. I won't deny that.
Jack loves his armchair GM on Cap Friendly.
I'm so good at it.
How do you get good at that? It's just your own trades you make.
So much practice, a lot of NHL GM mode.
Yeah, fair enough.
Ciao.
I got something. Let's talk about Seattle. What happened to them? Why aren't the Kraken crack-a-lacking? Trademark, do not use that.
I didn't love them last year, but they had so much depth and just were clicking on every stage.
They had the most,
and I think they just completely bought into the system with Hextall there. Not Hextall, Hackstall. Is it okay? Same, whatever pronunciation. Anyway, yeah, I just think a lot of their players got burnt out from all the hockey they've had to play last year, and it was just like you look at how young Beniers is, and he was a staple for them last year, and just the fact that he's not playing like himself anymore, I think they just burnt him out. And I think a lot of their players were just kind of playing out of their asses last year, and had career years for the most part.
I mean,
I don't like the way that team's built either. But to be fair to them last year, they had great depth and their scoring was all over the place.
They had, if I could
which
add
is
to
perfect.
that,
Yeah.
they had something like a dozen or 15 of their players have 15 goals or more, which is
that's what I'm saying.
insane,
Their depth
dude.
was amazing.
From defense to forwards, scoring was happening. Even when their goaltender was really bad, both of them were awful. I think both those guys are out of the league right now. Both Grice and Grubauer. A very poor German connection. Oh wait, maybe not Grice. Is he? Oh my
Grice
goodness.
Was never on Seattle.
Oh,
It was
Martin
Dreger
Jones?
and Jones.
Oh yeah, Chris
They got-
Dreger lasted like
their
25
back-
games
yeah,
or something.
Guess who their backup is?
Grice.
The Cord.
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
The best goal in the league.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Behind Gustafson, of course.
Obviously.
Jack, why do you have a pillow on your lap? I'm not going to punch you in the balls.
Leafs get him hard.
Leafs get me hard. And I feel very insecure being the only Leafs fan in the room right now. Being the only idiot and delusional person in this room right now does not make me feel good, so I need something to hold.
Well, you're not delusional because you admitted to it, so that's good. Who else should we talk about? Edmonton?
Last team to get through.
I think there's a lot to talk about Edmonton.
Yeah,
right now.
man. I honestly thought they were winning this division before the season started, and I'm sure a lot of people were on that train as well. But holy crap, have they ever started? This is their worst start since before McDavid. It's got to be.
Well, they just fired their coach, right?
Yeah.
3 in a row after Ryan Whitney stopped being a fan. That's an important fucking.
So it's all Ryan Whitney. No, they're not in a good spot. Big problem with them is they're so dependent on their superstars, where when they're not performing at their best, which it's not their fault. Everyone goes through those phases, but it kind of shows that they're not really a team. They're playing more like a basketball team, and really just relying on McDavid and Draisaitl to pull through for every single game. But when that's not the case, they're just completely broken.
And that's so true, but it's weird because they have other players especially at the forward position who are good. I think a lot of it's their goaltending's kind of shaky, and by kind of I mean shit. Skinner, he's either on or off. He's never consistent. Obviously Campbell's just a bust. I don't know why he was ever paid $5 million.
To add some color, it's the Leafs fallacy is why they're doing that. No, Edmonton is the Leafs, but they do it even worse. Yeah, no, it's the idea that we're going to score more goals and win hockey games. We're not going to clear guys out from in front of the net. We're not going to play defense, and we're going to have a bad goalie because we've wasted all of our money on guys that are going to score goals, but it doesn't matter because we lose the game. Oh, Austin Matthews hat trick. Guess what? L. Austin Matthews hat trick. L. They never win the game. Yeah.
It's not wrong.
Oh, pardon me. I will say as well too is that when it kind of surprised me that you said you thought they were going to win the division, because I especially being in Canada, the whole Canadian media market was all over Edmonton. Oh, careful there. Was all over Edmonton for cup favorites and such. But I mean, exactly like Mike said, like I saw so much in this team that I saw from, Leafs teams in the past where they're like, oh, this is a cup favorite, this is a division favorite, finally getting out of the first round. But I mean, it's the Oilers, man. Like, what do you expect? Like, nothing is going to change with them. Like, the same thing has happened year after year. You think getting one good defenseman is going to change everything in Ekholm. Like, Bouchard is obviously gross, but yeah, exactly what Mike said. It is exactly like the Leafs. As a Leafs fan, I completely agree with that, and it's sad to watch.
And sorry, were you gonna say something?
I was just gonna ask, what do you think they need to do?
I don't know about that. Like, they obviously they got a lot of ads they need to make. Like Jack pointed out, like their decor is not really the best. Ekholm's a good, like, sturdy defenseman, but he's getting up there in age. And I don't know. I think, in my opinion, I think Bouchard's really just a power play merchant. I'm not a fan of his game, to be honest, but it's just like they don't really have much on defense, and then their goaltending sucks. Like, they've got good forwards, they've got some depth down there in the lineup, but they don't have much for defense and goaltending, and it's just like Mike said, like similar to the Leafs.
And
the
that's
Leafs
what
of the
you
West.
need in the playoffs.
Yeah, it's absolutely what you need in the playoffs, and they've gone on a couple like kind of runs over the last few years, but like I don't think they're good enough to win a cup.
Did you see that Vasilevsky's on the market?
Really, he's been hurt.
Yeah, no, but the Tampa Bay's put him on the market. Like, they're willing to trade for him.
That's insane.
Anyway, we
Damn.
need some more, hand the mic over.
That's
We need some
crazy.
more insider information.
Is
on
Tampa thinking about a rebuild or?
I don't know. They might be, because like they're kind of getting up there.
for sure.
It's not a bad idea right
No.
now. They're still worth something.
Yeah, I would agree. And dude, like if Edmonton got Vasilevsky,
Oh,
then there would be some
a goalie
definite.
alone can get you to the Stanley Cup.
100%.
Yeah.
He's on Carey Price.
yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
That would be wild. Vasilevsky on Edmonton.
There's no way. Okay,
It would not happen.
Sorry.
I just like what do you just mock trade for a second? What do you think it would take?
Oof.
A lot.
Yeah,
Well,
of course
is
it'd be a
he-
lot. but, like,
Is he
Okay.
$9 million? Is that his contract? $9 million?
It's a lot.
Mock
It's
trade.
north of 5.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you spill on him?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah,
Oh,
Mike.
poor thing.
Just like try to keep your mouth on the cup. Anyways, so what would there be a mock trade for Vasilevsky? I'm saying they're not giving away McDavid or Draisaitl.
No.
That's completely off the table.
But who is your next best capital?
Um,
You're not giving away Kane. You need
Do
to.
they have,
Nuge?
Nugent Hopkins would be a great.
Yeah, but I mean, like,
But they
obviously
need
it's gonna be
more.
Yeah,
It would be
but
Nuge,
that'd be a good
some
start.
draft picks.
But
for
still,
sure.
at the same time, Nuge isn't young.
He's not that old though. Like,
He's not
it
that
seems like he's
old,
been in the
but-
league for like 20 years, but
Yeah.
he really hasn't.
I don't
And he
know,
looks
he's-
like he's 12 every
Yeah.
single
Yeah.
day.
I swear he's getting younger. I need some of his face cream, man. Holy smokes.
You're definitely giving up a first and second round.
Yeah, they're giving away.
First, second round. Nuge,
Probably like
and
could
probably
be two firsts
another
as
guy.
well.
Yeah,
Like,
2 firsts is
yeah.
isn't crazy.
But if they do that, then like they're cementing themselves as like the most dangerous team for the next like
well, Vasilevsky is
5
a
to 10
cyborg.
years.
He got hip
Yeah.
surgery when he didn't need it to make himself even stronger. Like,
Yeah.
that guy is mental.
Yeah, he's been a force in the league. One of the best goalies, if not the best, over the last few years. Obviously, during the cup runs, he was the best, but over these last couple of years, like, he's kind of been in a race with like Shesterkin and Sorokin, I'd say. But still, he's an absolute force on the ice, and he's just crazy in that.
I was
And
thinking
he could easily carry a team to a playoff run or cup. Sorry.
Yeah, and like they would have 3 guys in that team that could carry you to a playoff.
A cup. Yeah.
Deep in the playoffs.
I was
Could be
thinking about
wild.
I was thinking about this the other day, like talking about Shesterkin, who I can never say his name, so I always try to mumble it. Yeah, Sharkskin, Sorokin, and Vasilevsky. And I remember my dad and I would have conversations all the time about how, like,
Oh, me
on
and Dad have
average-
conversations all the time too about hockey.
yeah. Speaking of all those Russian goaltenders, and like I said, my dad and I would have, and I guess my dad and Robbie would have conversations about this all the time, about on average, like Canadian goaltenders are never really like, it's never the strong suit in any Canadian in any tournament, any international tournament. It'll always they always have a starter, but what are you looking at me like that for?
You're saying that when we grew up with Carey Price and Luongo, we had great goaltending the entire time we've been alive up until
Yeah, who are the best
5
goalies
years
in
ago.
Ever? Like we got Martin Brodeur.
we
I'd say
the
Carey
best
Price
goalies.
over
There
Luongo,
are-
Patrick
now-
Waugh.
Since 2015, Russian goalies have been on top. I will definitely say that.
I don't know. I think like I always find that's a common, like especially with World Juniors, with World Championships. Less so with Olympics, obviously. And I think Canada was really really lucky to have like guys like Luongo and Fleury and Price being like, I'm trying to think of like the 2014 and then the 2010 Olympics. They would have had Brodeur in the 2010 Olympics. But I think in the more no way.
Mike Smith was on 2010 or 20.
Was he?
Yeah.
Oh my. Okay, this adds to my reasoning. Like Mike Smith at his prime, gross.
For the golden goal too.
Yeah. Luongo was the starter for that, and then I think Brodeur was the backup, which is a nice tandem. But it just seems
he was
like
captain. Luongo was like a team
for like
captain.
what 3 games or
support
something.
that?
He's the greatest guy. He is the greatest guy.
I like that he had.
lovable.
I like that he didn't have the C on his jersey. He had it like on his mask,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
at the.
Do you
I thought
think-
that looked so
Do you
sick.
think
Dude.
goalies should be allowed to be captains?
If they're the team leader, absolutely.
Yeah, I just think there's not a lot of goalies that are like that.
Yeah, goalies are weird.
Yeah, really weird.
Let's be honest.
Personally,
goalies are weird.
I've never met a goalie I liked, so
Like your captain should be your glue guy. Like, it
Yeah.
should be the guy that is getting everybody excited.
It's not like there's the locker room presence, but there's also like the aspect of like getting them fired up on the ice, like leading by example.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's hard as a goalie to do that because everyone else is playing a different
Yeah.
position.
But when you're like the way Luongo makes saves is all
It
like
gets them fired
just
up,
showmanship.
absolutely.
He is that guy to just get the crowd excited, get the team excited.
100%.
So Jack, you're wrong.
Okay,
Is all I'm saying.
Yeah, but you're still a Leafs fan, so it doesn't matter.
To get us back on track, we dipped into the Central, but there's one last team in the Pacific to touch on.
I think there's two. I think we didn't talk about the Sharks or the Ducks.
We haven't talked about the Sharks.
Talk about the Sharks.
We haven't
That's
talked about the
embarrassing.
Flames yet either.
Oh, yeah, true.
Yeah.
It's a very intriguing team.
Anna,
Probably the most interesting team in the league right now.
easy one. Anaheim, they kind of suck right now. They're the opposite of what we were talking about with Vegas and Boston, of how, at least in my opinion, they kind of held on to their stars in like a just sentimental type of way and
Kinda like
didn't try to trade up. Well, no, they held on to Getzlaf until they retired.
Yeah.
Washington is making that same mistake of holding on to all their stars until they're worthless.
But I just want to say like one player that's just been gross for Anaheim is Mason McTavish, and he's super young, and he showed like how good he was in like the World Juniors and even the start of last year, and
But he's American.
he's Canadian.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, he was.
Zegras is
Yeah.
Yeah, and Zegras is a little baby bust. He's just a showboater. That's all he is. But yeah, they got like Troy Terry there, who's good. But McTavish has been playing out of his ass, which I love. But he's a great player, and he's going to be a good player for years to come. Yeah, and the Ducks have been decent to start the year, but obviously they're going to fall off. It's not
They're
sustainable.
second last,
they-
aren't they, right now?
Yeah, they
Division,
started
yeah.
hot though.
Yeah.
But yeah, they're definitely falling off.
Were they
And
playing
then
bad teams at the beginning, or?
no, I think they played some like decent teams to be honest.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. They were just playing like pretty good, and I just know it's not sustainable, and they're gonna fall off.
The
But
Pacific's a good gritty division.
it
right
is
now.
no,
Yeah.
absolutely. Like seeing Vancouver up there is cool, and then
Yeah.
and then obviously you got like the stars or the super teams in like Vegas, and then
They haven't been too hot since like the Kings were winning their cups. Like I find the Pacific hasn't been.
no,
too crazy,
definitely.
yeah.
Like the last couple years, it's been a race for sure because like Edmonton was good.
Yeah.
And then you had Vegas winning the cup last year, obviously, and then Kings. But I guess who made the playoffs last year for wild card in the West? It was Minnesota and Minnesota was third.
The Avs were in, weren't they?
They were a central leader though, I think.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think who was wild card. If it was
Seattle or were they?
Seattle was wild card, yeah, you're right. And Winnipeg was the other wild card. That's who it was. So yeah, I guess one from each. But yeah, I don't know. Pacific is a gritty division. You're absolutely right. Do you have anything to say about Anaheim?
This is not my own thoughts. I recommend. I obviously we know we have a lot of scouts and the doorbell just rang. That's why we all reacted like that. We're not connected like that, even though it does seem like that with our dynamic.
Jack actually just farted.
I looked around to see if anyone noticed. So yeah, we know all the scouts and GMs listen to this podcast, and that means that they listen to 32 Thoughts by Elliot Freeman and Jeff Merrick, and they had a pretty good point about the Anaheim GM. Verbeek is his last name. He used to play for the Whalers for the longest time, and he was always his play style was gritty and just a tough, small energy guy in the corners. And they're saying how, like, having talked to him and seeing how he handled the Drysdale and Zegras contracts this past year, like, he is kind of the same. He kind of has the same philosophy for his team about being, and even in negotiations with trades, with all hockey operations, just being like gritty and just hard nosed with anything from negotiations. And he also at the same time likes to see that on the ice. I know this is phenomenal analysis, and I cannot take credit for it, like I said. But yeah, talking about like Pacific being a great division, you know, individuals like that, individuals like Ken Holland, George McPhee was a gritty guy, like we were talking about being on Vegas. It kind of makes sense how that attitude kind of trickles down onto the ice.
But like, obviously they've got some grit on that team, but they market their whole team around Zegras, who's like the absolute opposite of that.
He's a finesse guy.
I should say, like, Verbeek just got hired this past year, and then at the same time that that he got hired,
No, I gave them some bottles because I'm a good Samaritan.
just got told that we had Boy Scouts come in. Nearly had them on the pod. Would have been a really special guest. We could really use some energy in here. I know what the comments are going to sound like. Be nice to Mike. Be nice to Mike, guys, please.
Boy Scouts. I was a Beaver when I was 6 years old.
I was really going to say about Verbeek being hired this past year, and immediately, like, who does he get? Like Gudis and Killorn, like some gritty guys. So I think he might be trying to change the team a bit, and being so staunch on Zegras, which has proved to be really, really
Good
helpful
word.
considering how shit that, I shouldn't say shit, but he hasn't been great, obviously.
Doo-doo.
Pardon me.
Okay, now that Jack's done talking, let's talk about a different team.
Now that Jack's done talking, we're all happy again.
Who do we have left? Calgary?
Calgary and I'll start with the Sharks because they're just a bottom feeder. Like,
Oh, the word.
They're-
How ironic that the Sharks are the predator of the ocean.
Oh.
Biology has changed course. Maybe they should be called the Guppies. The
I
San
mean,
Jose
they
Guppies.
were able to squeak out a win. It was a win everybody and
How
their
about the
mom
San-
saw coming.
and it was a win that we all wanted.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
fuck Edmonton,
Yeah,
to
fuck
be
Edmonton,
honest. Oh, it was awesome. But yeah, there's not really much to talk about in San Jose. Nothing to write home about. They're just not a good team right now. Like, they lost their best offensive player and really don't have much.
If you're taking your kid to their first NHL game, make sure it's not a Sharks game. That was so sad for that poor little boy or poor little girl. Did you not see that? I'm at my first Sharks game and they were down 10-2. Yeah.
Against Vancouver.
Oh. That was terrible. That was terrible. You, as a Sharks management player, anybody in the organization, you had to have felt bad about how you are doing when you saw that little kid at their first ever NHL game hating it.
Well,
This is the next game they're in Vancouver. Like, I'm in my first game.
Yeah. Thank God there's so many teams in California, though, because
they have some other picks.
yeah, they could definitely switch sides.
Yeah, but San Jose's not really close to Anaheim and LA. So.
If the only reason you're cheering a team is because you grew up in close to that place, you're an idiot.
I got something to say. That is the whole point about sports, you nincompoop, dude. That is exactly why people gravitate. The sports psychology is an association with self. And
What do you
self
know
is
about
with...
sports
I watch
psychology?
YouTube videos on YouTube videos, dude.
Yeah, okay.
I took Psych 101 twice. But it's that association with self where, like, this team represents where I'm from, and where I'm from is, you know, a part of who I am. That's literally, you know, 95% of sports fans cheer for the team that they're closest to. That's a ridiculous statement. Your rebuttal.
Quit drinking the Kool-Aid. As someone who got educated taking the history of hockey, actual course, I took that. Back in the early 1900s, the government in Canada put out propaganda like cheer for your hometown. You want to love your hometown because like it was back when they were doing like the whole like we don't want the huge American influence. We want people cheering for our teams. So they got people to cheer for their own teams. You just listen to the government.
I was going to say, so Jack's a sheep.
Yes,
Is what we're
yes,
getting at.
Yes. Not really. Like that is very meta. Like
Yeah.
Like it. Of course,
That's a good phone.
that is the main way to like. That is the way most people get into sports is growing up near there. I just grew up near Toronto, watched Toronto, and said, "Oh my God, how are they so bad?" That and my dad hated Toronto as well, so I had an excellent upbringing.
I think all of us are actually fans of our teams because of our fathers.
I mean, like, yes, but like my dad didn't really grow up liking a team, and then he moved to Ottawa, and I was born there.
So, but he was an Ottawa fan, no?
Like, because they got season tickets, like he ended up being one. So I guess, yeah, you're right. But it was, yeah, that's fair.
So your
Yeah,
dad's an Ottawa fan.
Yeah.
You're an Ottawa fan. Your dad's a Detroit fan. You're a Detroit fan. Your dad's a Toronto fan. You're a Toronto fan.
I think our
It's
thesis
not
has
the
been
least
proven.
The only, yeah.
Exactly.
Oh well, this guy's just an Ovechkin
No,
fan.
my dad grew up watching the Habs fan. I liked the Habs as a kid. He also, at the same time I made the transition, went to Washington because the Habs sucked.
Yeah.
And we hated their style of play.
I think, yeah, I guess there's something to do with like watching exciting hockey. And I know, like, when I was watching the most hockey back when Detroit was a wagon with Nicholas Lidstrom, Pavel Datsyuk, Henrik
When they had
Zetterberg, Nick
the
Kronwall.
the best guy at holding a stick to ever fucking put on skates.
Pavel Datsyuk
Yes.
is honestly,
He's a dream. He is the guy.
I might name my child Pavel.
yeah.
I might just name my child Pavel Datsuk. First name, like, Pavel Datsuk Taylor. Okay.
God, I love that guy.
Yeah.
No, I think Mike's right here. Like, I don't know if you're saying like he's the best player to ever exist. Like, is that what you're getting?
No, not
because-
the best player to ever exist, but the best, like, not playmaker, but like stick handler, best
But-
puck carrier.
Like the
I
most
do-
skilled.
I do believe he was the best player to ever exist.
He
and
had
because-
one of the best shots ever.
Well, no, not only that, like he
He was
did
also
everything
defensive.
exactly. He was the
Yeah.
best defensive forward to ever play. So he played a 200-foot game. You could put him in any situation. You play him on power play, penalty kill, up a goal in the late minutes, down a goal in the late minutes, like overtime. You put him anywhere. You can't say that with like the other players. Like McDavid's not good defensively. He's obviously the most gifted offensively player to ever exist, but. Then like with Gretzky, like I don't think he was playing any defense back in the day as well. Like you have a 200-foot player, that's how you have to play the game of hockey.
Yeah.
most importantly, did you ever see either of those two guys, McDavid or Gretzky, make two of the other, like two guys on the other team, run into each other?
Pavel
Have
Datsyuk
you
definitely.
ever seen anybody
He
else?
has
He's
the
like-
best highlight tape ever.
Bro, because his IQ's insane.
It's
He's-
ridiculous.
His hockey sense is so like, and he's so
Yeah.
skilled with his stick.
And
you're
that
right.
puck is on a string.
Yeah,
it's on a
absolutely.
string whenever he's touching it. I don't know if he uses spider webs or what, but that guy is a magician.
Pavel Datsuk is Spider-Man.
He is.
Well, he also won like the Selkie like how many times in a row? So he was,
Yeah,
also,
but,
he was
like-
also just a great guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At the same time, which
Well,
is like,
well, the Selkie's the best defensive.
oh, what's
forward.
the Lady Bing?
Lady
the
Bing,
Lady
yeah.
Bing. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I'm talking
Well,
about.
and he has one of the coolest videos ever. Like, remember the old videos of like, you should draft me for the NFL, and it'd be a guy punching through the wall and catching the ball. I think even cooler than that, the video when he goes to the K, one-handed backhand bar down was the coolest thing I think I've ever seen.
And I know he's a good guy because our good friend Talon got on his Instagram when he was a big fan growing up. So he posts his fans, is
He
what
likes
I'm
his
saying.
fans. He does everything right. He does everything right.
Imagine if we had Pavel on the podcast.
How's his English?
Yeah.
Not good. Dangle, dangle, dangle. Have you ever seen that
Yeah.
interview? No.
Pavel, if you're watching this and you are willing to fly to Ontario, Canada,
Oh, we could zoom. We could zoom. Pavel, we'd do anything. We'll go to Russia for you.
Yeah, we
man.
will come to Russia. I don't care what war they're in. We will be there.
This video will be in Russian subtitles.
Yeah.
Anyways, who's next?
Calgary, last
Calgary,
team.
yeah.
Cowberry.
Nothing exciting.
They're bad. I think we already talked about them in the
I
first
think like,
podcast.
they're just aging out. Well, we talked a bit about the Oilers and the Flames, yeah, but Calgary's just like aging out, and they don't really like you said, they don't have a goal scorer. And Huberdeau's just not himself anymore.
Huberdeau got
Huberdeau.
sad. I can't pronounce
Oh
hockey.
my God.
Katruck. No, Huberdeau, like he's not doing anything. They've got, it pissed me off because like they have good defensemen, but it's like I don't know. Markstrom's not really playing like himself. Anderson's good. I like Uyghur a bit, and Tanev's obviously one of the best defensive defensemen in the league. But it's just crazy to see them doing so poorly when they're kind of built like decent. but their forwards, they're just underperforming. Like, I think Lindholm's going to be gone this year.
Oh my god, dude, he is having like such a tough season.
But I think
like,
I
he's
know,
one of the
and
most underrated guys in the league. But this year, he's like he gets like he's I think he's half a point per game, which is fine. But I mean, this is a guy that scored 40 goals before, like up for the Selke every year. Like I said, one of the most underrated guys in the league. But like he's just a non-factor out there nowadays. And like, how do you get your top line guys with Huberdeau and Mangiapane like on their wings? Mangiapane, another 40 goal scorer. Huberdeau, 100-point getter. Like, how can you get those guys going when your center is playing like that? Like, I don't want to put all Calgary's problems all on Lindholm, but like he's just like Huberdeau and Lindholm, just shells of their former selves. And I don't know what the air is like in Calgary or anything like that, but you gotta think it's not good.
There were a lot of forest fires.
But like the thing is like I think they're gonna trade Lindholm this year.
Yeah.
And he's not helping them out at all.
No,
like he's not giving any value
really
to himself.
bad.
No, absolutely. But yeah, Calgary's just kind of a shitstorm right now. I do like I think over the last few games they've been a bit better and they've had some of their guys produce. Like Kadri's been doing decent lately. I know Blake Coleman, he's kind of turned it on a bit, and then like this Connor Zary.
Gross.
He's been really good to start the year.
God.
Like he's a great player for sure. But yeah, they don't really have much going for them on offense.
Yeah, offensively it's been tough. They do have some hope though with their goalie prospect.
Fox or Wolf, sorry?
Yeah.
Coyote?
I was gonna call him Caribou. He is not only been back to back in the AHL for best goalie in the year, he's been back to back like MVP of the AHL. So I think Dustin Wolf, that's his name.
Is he Canadian?
I think he's American.
Oh.
Dude, this is what I was talking about before, that like Finland, Russia, America, like goalie factories, dude. And it's just weird that like teams like Sweden and like Canada like don't have that same production. Like I get like Russia and like US kind of makes a little bit more sense because like there's definitely a lot of money in the game, even from like the younger ranks like over there. But like a team like Canada and Sweden, like why don't you just bite the bullet, dude?
Right now is Hart.
I think the best goalie right now is Jordan Binnington right now, dude. He's been kind of nice. He's been pretty good this season,
He is a
dude.
great goaltender.
No, he's not.
I do not like
Okay, did you not
No.
see the interviews after they won the
Incorrect.
cup, and everybody on that team said he got us to that cup? Jordan Binnington is the only reason why we have a Stanley Cup ring.
I
That
do
was
believe
3 years ago.
I do believe he had that one really good season, and he was an X factor that year and in that playoff run. But he just doesn't look like a good goalie. Like he doesn't really move well, and he hasn't been that since either.
It's the same with all goalies. It's always on and
They're
off, on
always
and
on.
off.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. We finished the divisions. Time to get into the most important part of this podcast. Shitting on Jack, ruining his life, making him hate himself. That is the most important thing we're here for. That is what we always strive to do. Jack, what I want to do is drill down to the most basic factor of building a hockey team. I want your philosophy behind what it takes to build a good hockey team. If you were building the whole starting lineup, what do you think is important?
Thank you for this question. As an amateur GM, I believe this really insinuates into my my skill set. Yeah, there's 6 million amateur GMs in Toronto. Well, honestly, my philosophy is mostly just whatever Matt says because he's a hockey genius. And the opposite of whatever my dad says. No offense, Bruke. We know you're an active and loyal listener, but you suck. And I let him know. But yeah, it's just defense. It's just defensive depth, but like it's kind of nice seeing Vegas. Well, I don't know. Vegas, it's kind of, I don't even know what to say. Like they kind of won in a different way where they were just so perfect in terms of their forward depth. Like you can put all 4 lines out to any other line during those playoffs and they would score or shut down. Like they could do the 2 main things that wins playoffs, obviously. And then they had such deep defense as well too. And I'm just trying to think and then the Avalanche, like they had fine goaltending, but again, shut down D and then forwards that you can put out any line to either shut down or score. So I guess just based on the past 2 cup winners, I'd say that's my philosophy of all forward lines that can shut down and score, and then just deep defense as well too, and then just a fine goalie. Like, you don't even need a nuts goalie or anything.
Keep that with you. Drill down deeper on what is a defenseman doing on the ice that makes him good, because Leafs will bring in good defensemen and they don't play good defensive hockey. I think the way they set up their system is stupid.
Well, I'd say that Brody and McCabe, I know a lot of Leafs fans really like Brody. And they like Gio. Like, Gio is pretty hot and cold to me sometimes. Like, one period he'll be so gross, and then another period he'll be like a -2 or something. But Brody and McCabe were those guys, but I felt like they really fell off a cliff since last playoffs.
What I'm asking is, when you're on the ice as a defenseman, don't name names. What are you doing? What is your job? I think the Leafs defensemen get that wrong. In your own zone, and then in the offense, like in transition.
Well, like Robbie, I think if you were a defenseman back there, you're the worst player on the ice.
Well, you're only a defenseman because you weren't good enough to be a forward, obviously.
No, honestly, I think defense is the hard, like maybe goaltending, but defense is like the hardest position to play in the NHL, and like that is such like a.
What's your job in your own zone?
To defend, it's in the name.
No, one defenseman does this, one defenseman does that. What is your job when you're playing defense?
I'd say it depends on the scheme. Like, I won't pretend that like I know like too much about schemes or anything like that, but I'll just go based off like what I've used to play for is just like a forward and like a defenseman in the corner, like center in the corner, for like defenseman in the corner, other defenseman in front of the net. Winger is a little bit like lower next to the net, like by the hash mark or so. Like, defense, I'd say is like it's a whole line thing. Like, it's not just defense. But to stop avoiding the question, I'd say that. One guy in the corner, one guy in front of the net.
Wrong answer. Wrong answer. The answer is so simple. All you NHL defensemen watching this podcast, because I know you are, pay attention to this. You have two jobs depending on where the puck is. If the puck is on the other side, you're right D, it's in the left corner. If there is a guy between you and the goalie, you've made a mistake. I don't know why everybody lets a guy between them and the goalie. You can't tell me you haven't heard 1,000 coaches yell this at you all throughout minor hockey. That is the number one rule as a defenseman. Don't let a guy between you and the goalie. And then second job, stop blocking pucks. Goalies block pucks. You don't block pucks. All you're doing is tipping it in. I hate that. I hate that.
I absolutely agree. Like, boxing out's a crucial aspect, and like you see, like so many soft defensemen in the league just like not box out and let that player between the goalie and themselves.
Yeah.
And that's a huge part. There is good times to block the puck, I believe, but you're right.
Caveats,
You're
yeah.
right. Like on like those low danger shots where it's just not necessary sometimes.
Yeah.
And they do tip it on their own net. Like it's
Yeah.
like it's weird,
The
but
main thing is your wingers are supposed to be the guys rushing those defensemen and blocking the shots while you're clearing guys out. There's other guys on the ice to go block those shots because they don't have another job.
I'm glad you said that.
Yeah.
yeah, but also like defense, like Jack said, is probably one of, if not the hardest position to play. There's just so many aspects of the game that goes
takes
into it,
experience.
and yeah, experience. Like you notice, like these young defensemen come into the league, and like a lot of them aren't really shut down right away, and they kind of learn that over time. You do like I do believe though that the defensive defensemen are some of the smartest hockey players to exist on the planet because
you need the IQ, yeah.
they know how to play every situation. They play it properly, and they're so smart, like with their stick, with their body position, how to like block passes, how to like get in the way of shots, hit smartly. And yeah, I believe like defensive defensemen can be like the smartest people in the league.
It's all about knowing where the puck's going to go, to quote Wayne Gretzky. They're going to where the puck's going to be, not where it is.
I believe Wayne Gretzky stole a lot of that from Michael Scott, but we won't get into that right now. Based on that, like, obviously we all have pretty different philosophies on kind of who the best player is, with Robbie not giving a care for... Let me finish. Let me finish. When did I say nonsense? Sorry for anyone wearing headphones right now.
The number one nonsense you said is putting on that shirt. That's the number one nonsense.
I say it with my chest. Yeah. But like, based on, obviously Matt and I are very high on defense, Robbie less so. I really don't know Mike's philosophy on best player, but who do you guys think right now is the best player in the league?
Oh, that's a good question.
That's a great question.
All time, or like how they're
Right
doing
now. Yeah. Or like over the last 3 seasons, basically.
The Brinkat.
Oh my god, dude.
At each position, for defenseman, easily Adam Scott. I think he is the best defenseman. in
Adam
league
Scott,
right
the
now.
golfer.
Or Adam Fox. Sorry, Adam Fox. Yeah, Adam
Yeah.
Fox, I'd say, is the best defenseman in the league right now. Goaltending is a tough one.
Yeah, I agree. Like over the last I would have said 3 years ago for the last couple seasons, Vasilevsky easily, but for goaltending, like over the last 3 seasons, I'm gonna go with Sorokin, man.
I like that.
I think
like in the league, best player period.
No, I'm sorry. We're
pardon
going each
me,
position.
Pardon me.
Sorry, so for goaltenders,
Yeah, I don't think you can
Sorokin.
compare like best player in the league's one thing, but you can't like. There's obviously going to be a bias towards forwards because people want to see points.
Hey, let me say
That's
something
why
to
we're
that.
doing it by position.
Yeah.
Let me say
we
something
should
to
do it
that.
position.
In this lighting, you have really beautiful eyes, dude.
Thank you. Making me blush.
Yeah.
My picks. My picks, I'd say for forwards, obviously Connor McDavid is just the most gifted offensive player in the
Connor
league.
McDavid
Are you
It's-
talking about current year stats or like?
Like the last 3 seasons, kind of.
Okay.
Yeah. He just takes the cake offensively. He makes so many plays and he creates so much for his teammates and himself. On defense, I'm gonna go with over the last 3 seasons, I've loved Roman Yossi, but I think it's hard to deny Cale Makar. Like
Cale Makar,
yeah.
he's just his edge work's insane. Like he walks the blue line so well. Like he takes smart shots from the point and walks in well to get those good shots. He creates stuff for himself, and then defensively he's solid as well. Like he makes so many plays with his stick, gets in the way of passing lanes. Like he could still improve, but he's so young that he's got room to improve. And then in net, I think it's Sorokin. Like I just think he looks the best in net, and he's been on the worst team out of who I think are the 3 best goalies, which would be Vasilevsky, Shesterkin, and Sorokin. He's been on the worst teams and kind of helped them out. Even though the Islanders did go on deep runs because they had a good defensive structure, but I just think Sorokin is just unbelievable.
Yeah. I'll give my picks. Bottom up, Sorokin for all the reasons Matt just said. He's right on the money. Defense, Adam Fox, I think he is unbelievable. I think he's Shea Weber reincarnate, but almost a little better. Defensively, he's so good. Offensive for a defenseman doesn't matter unless you're an idiot because that's not their position. Carlson should epitomize that for you. You can be a great defenseman, and he is the best offensive defenseman. You can still not get it done. Anyways, it was. Forwards is a tough one. If you're talking about forwards, pure offensive ability, playing no defense, Austin Matthews this season alone has been the best. All those hat tricks speak for themselves, but when he's scoring those hat tricks, he's playing no defense. The only way you're scoring 3 goals is if you're only playing on one side of the ice. Jack, why do they lose every time he scores a hat trick? Stop shaking your head. Let me finish my point. If you're talking about an overall forward, which in my opinion, this is my actual answer for the best forward, I think you're right. It is Connor McDavid. He is just so gifted. It's unbelievable. He's had a tough start to the season. I still think he's going to score over 40, no question.
All right, just before I say my,
like that while I handed you the mic, you stared into my soul. You were like,
It's really tense in this room right now, guys.
It's extremely tense. I'm feeling really fucking claustrophobic.
Nips
in
are
this,
popping,
in this
sweating,
jersey right now.
dude. It's
I don't know how you wear this, Jack. Anyways, so no bias whatsoever on my takes here. Best goalie in the league is probably Husso. Definitely not James Reimer. That guy's the worst goalie in the NHL. Don't get me started on that guy. Best defenseman, I gotta go Mo Sider. Absolute unit out there. The kid's 21, and he fucking decks anyone in his trails. I want to see him and Wi-Fi go at it. That's what I really want to see.
Wi-Fi is a scary character. I love Boston. I'm upset we are not watching that, Montreal. Sorry, I'm upset we're not watching Montreal Boston. That's going to be a battle.
We can watch that later.
It's at the same time as Matt's game.
Burlington Eagles are more important.
They are.
Fuck the Burlington Eagles. Okay, anyway.
Eagles got some mean motherfuckers on the back end, too. Those 13-year-olds are crazy.
Yeah, I remember facing a girl on that team when I was younger. She was the meanest person on the ice.
Wi-Fi is in my opinion, the best pickup in the last year for Montreal.
I know people.
I
So
love him.
one of my friends on my intramural team played against him when they were, because he's our age.
Yeah.
When they were in the GTHL together, and apparently he was shit.
He's not like a great player. He is not your star player. He is not that guy. What he is there for, and okay, to give some background, in my opinion, why Montreal hasn't been so great recently, ever since they traded away Shea Weber, which was a good call, don't get me wrong, he was old. But you have a lot of small guys and no one like keeping the rule of law while you're out there on the ice. Your young guys can get fucked up and there's nobody there to come and say, hey, you can't do that. And I think Zerkai is perfect for that. They don't need more scoring. They could use a goalie. That's a different thing. But I think they really needed an easy pickup like that. It cost them nothing, and he adds so much just flavor to the team, gets the fans excited, gets everybody excited, and protects their top players.
I think I had Huso, Sider, and then best forward past 3 years, I would say DeBrincat, but he's only been on the team for 1 year now. So
this 1 year really outshines the 2 whole seasons over everybody else.
I gotta say Lucas Raymond.
Okay.
Oh my god.
Obviously the kid's a fucking stud, bad year last year, but I can't really blame the guy, going into your second year after coming off such a great rookie season. Way too much pressure. Oh, Matt has something to say. I know he's a Raymond fan.
I do like Raymond a lot. He's a great player. I'm not going to say he's the best player in the league,
Well,
but
you're obviously biased.
my man picks 3 Detroit player.
Okay, can I talk about something about Toronto goaltending? Because you're all going to wake up in a couple months and realize, hey, maybe the reason our goalies get scored on so much in the first period is because the rest of our team isn't playing. I hate that. Everybody at the start of the season, Samsonov starts a game, gets scored on 2 to 3 times in the first period because he's the only one on the ice playing hockey besides the other team. And now Joseph Wall went in a couple games ago. I forget who they were playing against. Got scored on twice in the first period. Granted, one was him passing it to the other team in front of his own net. But anyways, you will start to realize the reason your goaltenders are getting scored on isn't because the goalie's bad. You'll watch the individual goal, say that was the goalie's fault. Watch how many shots they're taking. Watch the quality of those shots and watch how there's no defense around them. And you'll realize the Toronto's goalie's problem is the defense, not the goalie.
I will say, though, I wasn't a fan of Samsonov in Washington.
Samsonov is not that great a goalie, but I think you'll start to realize all the flaws Toronto fans.
Oh, I absolutely agree with you.
October, we're pointing out with Samsonov. You're going to point out those same problems with Wall.
Yeah, no.
Say we need a new goalie. You need new defensemen.
I agree. It's like they give up a lot of high danger opportunities. They're not good defensively.
Yeah.
I agree with you there. I've just never been a fan of Samsonov, and so many people in the media were like hyping him up this year. And like I saw like they were like comparing like the goaltender tandem for Ottawa and Toronto, and they were like, I'm gonna pick Toronto just because Samsonov has a higher ceiling. And I was like, I don't see a ceiling in Samsonov. He's just not that guy.
No.
Like I know I'm a Sens fan, but I would much rather have Korpisalo and Forsberg in net than Samsonov and Wall.
Well, as a Washington fan, I remember he was supposed to be the next Braden Holtby. And he is not that. He is, don't get me wrong, he is an NHL quality goalie, in my opinion. I think he is worthy of being in the league. He is a great goaltender, but he's a great backup. I don't think he should be your number one.
Yeah, or a 1B, yeah.
Yeah, but he is not the best. He lets in some shitty goals, don't get me wrong. Leaf fans, you can get pissed every once in a while. I just have a problem when it's all the time, because all the time it's the rest of the team, not the goalie. Goalies try hard. It's the hardest position in hockey to play.
That's a wild take, saying you'd rather Korpisalo and Forsberg than Hall and Samsonov. Like, Samsonov licks dick. And I don't agree with you saying that, like, Leafs fans shouldn't lose their minds, less so about the goalie and more so about the defense. Because, like, especially the last, like, I want to say 2.5 weeks, dude, he's been letting in some fucking muffins, dude. Like, some really, right through him. Like, and, like, defense isn't great. Defense isn't great, to say the least. But, I mean, like, I'm trying to think when they came back, they were down 4-1 versus Tampa. Yeah. Or 5-1 or something. I forgot thank you. But I mean, dude, the first period, like he let in some freaking muffins, man. Like that wasn't because of defense. That wasn't because of like, Matthews not playing defense, even though it's wild that you think that. Even though the last 2 years he's been voted for Selke votes.
Has he won? The only reason he's getting voted is because 50% of NHL fans are Toronto fans. Toronto is always going to have players in every single vote. The fact you haven't noticed that is wild.
I am not with you on this one, Jack, because I don't agree with any of the voting that goes on in the league. Like I said in the other episode, freaking Yossi had 96 points, didn't win the Norris, and he was actually good defensively. No, this was 2 years ago, and Makar won it, and then last year, Carlson puts up 100 points. And everyone starts freaking out because the defenseman put up 100 points when Yossi was 4 shy. And Carlson doesn't play defense and wins the Norris for best defenseman. Like, I don't agree with voting at all.
Yeah. One other aspect on something else you said.
Toronto media has a lot of pull in the votes as well.
I strongly disagree with that because Toronto media hates nothing more than the Leafs. They hate the Leafs.
Toronto media loves the Leafs. They just have no other option because of how bad they are. Unless they want to outright lie on TV, they have to say the Leafs are bad because they are. The other thing I wanted to talk about, though, is what you were saying about how, like the goalies and when they're letting in those bad goals. I would encourage you to look at when those goals are happening. It's not the first goal or the second goal of the game. It's after Samsonov was left out to dry twice. He has no confidence left in anything, and then a shitty goal goes in. He's been left out to dry. He gives up, and then a shitty goal goes in. It's never the first goal of the game. Give me an example. Give me a concrete example.
Dude, Tampa, 3 shots, 2 goals. Fucking Calgary, dude. 2 goals on 5 shots, dude. Okay. All Samsonov starting. The dude just sucks, dude.
Which one of those goals, which of those goals were explicitly his fault?
Dude, out of the 4 goals scored on him on the Tampa game, 3 of them easily. Easily.
Which ones?
Can you say which ones?
Not the first one. That's what I'm getting at. Not the first one.
Can you say that definitively, that you remember that the first one for both games, for the Calgary game as well, too?
I can't say it for the Calgary.
Yeah, exactly. One game doesn't just say everything. I'm just saying.
And all I want to say is Jack is just shitting on Samsonov, but about 2 minutes ago, he laughed at me for picking Korpisalo and Forsberg over Samsonov.
Dude, that's why. Okay, no, not just Samsonov, though. Because he did have a good game. Wall is gross, dude. Wall is the only.
You remember when you were pissed?
Wall is
in the playoffs? You remember when you were pissed?
I never was. Dude. I was pissed at Samsonov, but I love that Wall came in cold 2 games and still won those games.
And then guess what? You kept putting him in, and he almost got swept.
Yeah, but that was not his fault, dude. The whole team played like fucking shit those last 2 games, except for actually the elimination game. They played pretty well. They played pretty
shit compared to the other team. They're not playing like shit. They're shit compared to the other guys.
I don't want to delve in the past too much, but I guess it's my I'm done talking.
No. I'm just in the middle.
I'm taking away this.
Enough of this. Sorry, I just
Probably
thought.
just like
I just thought we should take it away from. I think we should just take it away from the Leaf fan and let some other people talk.
Just want to hear who Jack's top 3 picks are for real, though.
After this, I want to hear your pick for Rookie of the Year.
Yeah, Jack, I just want you to stop blabbering about how smart you are about the Maple Leaf system and just give us your top 3 picks, because there's been far too much talk about the Maple Leafs in this conversation. I'm starting to get real upset. I invite you on my own podcast, and you come here, you just talk about the Maple Leafs the whole time. Fucking making me sick over here. What are your top 3 picks?
A little behind the scenes before this. I don't know if I should divulge, you know the word, to the public this information, but Robbie was like, damn, I have nothing to talk about because I'm so bad at hockey and also know so little about hockey. We should have just...
Give us your top
I did
3
say it would get personal. Top 3, since Matt already said Makar for best defenseman, I'd say Heiskanen. He reminds me a lot about Scott Niedermayer, where he can get out of his zone on his own, get himself...
I like that take.
Thank you. He can get him. I wouldn't say he gets himself into trouble, but like he'll lose the puck, but then like like in the offensive end, and by the time the guys are at the red line, he's already back in his position somehow. Like he's just so fast, so smart. Honestly, I think personally Makar is like the best player in the world right now. Just because I've seen obviously a lot of Colorado games over the last couple of playoffs and in the regular season, just because they've been so good. But just to mix it up, Heiskanen, like I'd say Heiskanen is right there. Like he's gross, and Fox is a good pick as well too. But those are pretty boring. For a goalie, I'd say it's Sharkskin, or however you say his name.
Shesterkin?
Thank you. Like seeing a lot of Rangers games over the last couple of years, like I mean, advanced stats, like eye test, like they let him out to dry so many games, dude. I wouldn't say over the last 2 years it's been as bad, like including this year, but like holy, like he had to be the reason they won like 10 extra games, like 3 and 4 seasons ago. Like the defense was just so, like it just was non-existent. Like they have good players, but I don't know, like they're being outshot like 40 to 25, 40 to 30 sometimes, and he was unfazed the entire time. Even when Tony D'Angelo was like punching him in the face or whatever, like he still stood strong. And then for forwards, I don't know, it's kind of tough to say forwards because I haven't been watching a ton of teams this year. Like I've probably only said I haven't watched everyone this year, to say the least. Off the top of my head, I like watching Pasternak right now. I think he should be in the Hart vote. I mean, just gross. Like some games, honestly, like it seems like he's kind of non-existent, but the games where he is involved in, like holy crap, talk about a game breaker, game changer. Like when the baby shits the bed, who's in there getting changes? It's him. He makes things happen. You guys know what I'm talking about. A classic analogy.
I think you're the first person to ever make that analogy. When the baby shits the bed, he's changing them diapers.
Just makes things happen.
Who do you guys give me top 3 picks for who you think might win the cup this year? Let's start with Mike.
That is a hard question. That is a hard question.
I wonder who Robbie's gonna say.
Oh, I know one of them for sure. Definitely not the Maple Leafs.
I would, okay, out of the West, I'd say Vegas. East, oh man, I could see Boston doing really good. They're a wagon. I love the way they play hockey. I think the way they play hockey is right out of a lot of the teams in the East. But at the same time, New Jersey and New York are scary, really scary teams. I think they could do really good. Toronto, of course not. Ottawa, of course not. Yeah. I'd say Boston, Vegas, and if I had to pick between New York, New Jersey, probably New York.
I love those picks.
I love those picks too.
I was definitely gonna say Vegas again. They can absolutely repeat. I love the Rangers. I think they're a great pick for the cup. And Boston as well. Like I when I was asked this question, I didn't even think about it, but those are 3 teams that like I absolutely agree with 100% could win the cup this year.
You asked the question.
I know I did. That's why I asked it. I didn't expect to respond.
Said when I was asked.
Did I?
Yeah.
Oh, my bad.
Wait. Matt, who do you think are going to win the Stanley Cup?
So when I was asked this question, I like Vegas definitely, one for sure.
Anybody else out of the West?
Bro, LA. Let's see it. Let's see those Kings on top, baby. I want to see Jim hoist that cup.
I want to see Jim hoist the cup too.
No,
I don't have a goalie, man.
I know. They definitely need a goalie.
Realistically, who else out of the West?
Out of the West, I can.
A better one is top 4. Who do you think is
okay? So I'd say West, Vegas, and I guess I could just go Colorado here. Like they were injured all last year, so like it was tough for them to kind of play through all that. I think they have it. They've got the defense. They've got the forwards. Obviously, their goaltending is like all right, but like they have the D to make it work. So those 2 in the West, and then from the East, Rangers and Boston.
Yeah.
I can see those 2 being the finalists for the East for sure.
What do you think about Jersey? You think
I don't love New Jersey. They've got a lot of small. They're young, but they have a lot of small forwards and small size.
Yeah.
Size doesn't help in playoffs at all. Like Like you saw Jesper Bratt
Honestly,
last
size
year.
doesn't even
You mean
matter.
Size matters.
Sorry,
Not
yeah,
size.
my bad.
Size doesn't matter.
No, it does. Yeah, like you saw Jesper Bratt, who's a small forward last year, tear it up in the regular season, and then he was just a ghost in the playoffs. Like Jack Hughes, obviously, he's an X Factor
Brothers.
player.
Both brothers.
Yeah. Luke Hughes is great as well. I don't like their goaltending though.
I agree.
I don't think they have good goaltending, and
That's why I think they're behind New York.
they've got some good defensemen on the team, but I just don't think they have like an insane decor by any means. Like it's a pretty solid one, don't get me wrong, but yeah, I don't know. I think the Rangers are far ahead.
No, fair enough.
Yeah.
All right, Matt, thanks for your input. Unfortunately, it was wrong. So from the East, it's obvious who's making it to the semifinals. It's Detroit.
And from the West, because like
No. I'll get to the West. Well, they are. Yeah, they're basically both. But as of now, they're East. So we got Detroit, just an absolute wagon. And then I'm pretty torn between. Well, I guess I have to take someone from the Metro.
Now, give your realistic one. After this, I'm gonna ask, what teams do you want to be there?
Okay, yeah, no, that's fair. So the teams I realistically think are going to be there are Detroit, Detroit and New York. That'll be the semis for the East, and then
Not Boston, eh?
in the West, no, Detroit's beating Boston out in the second round. Well, dude, they already gave him a loss in like regular time, which is obviously gonna fucking carry over to the playoffs.
They call it regular time. I hear that all the time. Don't look at me like that. Let me get my pillow again.
Jack, Jack, you see, this is the talking stick. I'm talking, okay? Put your pillow on. Anyways, so Detroit, New York, that's the semis in the East. It's no question about it. You go over to the West. It's pretty tough. I want to say Vancouver because they're exciting. Vegas is going to make it, though. And then...
This is always my favorite part of the pod is Robbie breathing.
Winnipeg.
Wow.
That is a
That's
wild
bold.
take.
That is bold.
You know what? At the end of the day, I like to be different, and I'm going to say Winnipeg.
Like, I don't hate their forwards. Their D can use some work, but Hellebuck and net,
Yeah.
like that's not a terrible pair.
I think that they're a well-balanced team, and I think that they've always like proved themselves
I know,
to be
but
a
like
good playoff team.
To add Iafallo and Velarde is huge because like, they're good depth forwards and like complementary top six forwards.
Yeah,
and then Kupari's good for the third, fourth line, so you have that depth. I don't know. I love Pionk. Morrissey, I don't think is going to or have the same season that he had last year. But yeah, I don't think their decor is good enough. But then you have Hellebuck, so he could easily.
he could definitely pick up some slack. Yeah. So I'm going Vegas and Winnipeg, and then Detroit and New York.
I'm really shocked that no one has actually said the correct answer for the Stanley Cup winners this year. It's the Dallas Stars, guys.
Holy smokes!
Like, talk about depth scoring. Talk about like defensively. Like when you have Rupe Hintz as a top line guy, dude. Like he's incredible. That's simply an incorrect statement. They have Wyatt Johnson on the bottom pair. They have another young guy who I forget his name.
You're not talking about the obvious guys I'm talking about.
Additionally, like they just have deep defense. They have a top 3 goaltender in the league, in my personal opinion, as an amateur general manager. Like they're so gross. You know, everyone's worried about Jason Robinson, but he's still scoring at just under a point per game. Like he's not as good as he was last season, but I mean, he has plenty of time to get better. Guys, I have the talking stick. Another team from the West I like. I mean, how can you not like Vegas? Like they have not lost a step at all. Aiden Hill is still the same guy. Again, goaltenders are an enigma. Like anything could happen.
Best coach in the league.
They have a great system implemented by Cassidy. And then from the East, I really like the Rangers as well too, because like there's even with Sharkskin and Fox being injured, like they're still so gross, dude. I'm not sure who their coach is, but like it seems like this Rangers team. I've seen a couple. Thank you. It seems like this Rangers team. Like I've watched a couple of games this past year. It's just different from the years prior, where it's like defense is not taken into account whatsoever. But now they're like guys like Trocheck and even Kako having great defensive years. Finally putting Lafreniere on a top 6 line. What?
You're missing the best defenseman on the team.
He's been injured, and it's actually Lindgren is the best defenseman on the team. But whatever. He makes who Fox is. So yeah, I'll say I don't know who the top 4 would be for my conferences, but I'll say Rangers Stars in the finals. Like they're just and throwing Hurricanes as well there too. Like I think they'll make a trade throughout the year to get someone like from Calgary, maybe Nylander. So I'll say Rangers, Hurricanes in the top 4. They could get Kane as well too. I'd like to see Kane on either the Hurricanes or the Stars. I think he'd be gross there. And then I'll just say Vegas and Dallas in the West.
I'm glad you didn't put the Leafs in there.
Obviously not, dude. I'm not the same as all Leafs fans, where I'm not as delusional, dude. Even though Joseph Wall is the best goalie in the league.
Common sense.
I still hate you for wearing that shirt. All right, so I think the next question that we're going to ask is who do you want?
The more colorful version.
Well, I think that's kind of easy for all of us.
Yeah.
Well, no, it's easy for the top pick, but I think for the next 3.
Yeah, like you gotta
Oh,
have
like
some
top
thought.
3? Who
No,
do you want?
like do the same thing. Pick 4.
Oh, that I want. Okay.
Well,
4 people to be finalists or semifinalists for the Stanley Cup.
I'll just pass it to my left
start
here.
with Jack, and we'll all get upset. Actually, end with Jack so we can rebuttal him.
Okay, yeah, I like that idea. So I'll go first. So I don't think my picks are going to change that much, other than New York. I want the Red Wings in there, obviously. Probably New Jersey, because I think they're exciting hockey to watch. I really like puck possession hockey rather than like dump and chase. And I feel like that's just kind of, it's more of a like exciting game. You can see more exciting goals, more exciting plays. So that's why I kind of want that. And then probably I'd go with the Oilers, just because you want to see McDaddy making some highlight reel plays. And then Colorado, because of McCaw.
Well, so for my top 4, Sens in the East, and then I would say against the Habs, so it's an easy win.
Okay,
and then the Sharks and Ducks in the West, so then the Sens win the cup, and it's too easy. No. So Sens in the East, and I'd like to see them against Detroit. I feel like that'd be a crazy battle.
That would be so much fun.
That'd be fun. And then in the West, I'd say the Kings and then the Kings versus, I'd say the Stars. I want to see the Stars like there. That'd be fun. They're a fun team to watch for sure.
You guys have butchered the West.
It's the Kings.
You don't want to see McDavid?
To start off with the East, of course, Washington. They're playing against the Leafs. I would be pissed that they'd make it this far, but I would want nothing more than to watch them lose. They would beat Washington, don't get me wrong. In my dream scenario that we're talking about here, I'd want to watch the Leafs lose in the semifinals. It would give me so much satisfaction. Yeah. I'd rather watch them get swept. I hate the Leafs. In the West is where you actually get the exciting matchups. The most exciting, in my opinion, but not my final answer, you have to say Edmonton, Calgary. You have to say it. I could not imagine a more electric playoff series than Edmonton, Calgary semifinals. It would be a bloodbath. You might as well be in the Coliseum. It would be madness. It would be so exciting. But as a Canadian, I have to say, I'm just here for the riot. You need Vancouver in there. They're actually a good team. Just for the riot, I wouldn't include them up until now, but now that they're actually good, exciting to watch, I'd love to see, I want to say Vancouver, Edmonton. I think that would be electric. Yeah. To move on to, oh no, we still need Jax. We still need to get angry. Yeah, be careful.
Thank you.
The East will be very exciting.
So you guys kind of base your guys' teams based on who you would like to kind of like see on the ice more so, where I will base my teams more so on kind of the market and what the fans have been through more or less, and kind of which fans seem to deserve it more so.
How generous of you.
I'm just that guy.
If you don't say
Um,
after saying that, you're out of your goddamn mind.
I was just gonna say, so Vancouver is a similar market to Toronto, where everyone hates the Canucks. They could be good or bad, and everyone will hate them. The media hates them. The fans will hate them. They have a cheap ass. Oh, who has the talking stick right now? Um, they have a cheap ass owner that will not allow any buyouts. So that's why guys like Jay Beagle, Louis Erickson, like Tyler Myers now have stick to the team so long because the owner simply the owner simply will refuse to do the buyout cost. So it's kind of already they're kind of hampered in terms of what they can do. So I'd say definitely Vancouver. It's a really cool city and a really cool team. Cool fans for the most part. Again, they remind me of Toronto so much, so they're basically my boys. So I'd say Vancouver. I'd throw in Winnipeg as well too. They've had some attendance issues at the start of the season, even though they have the richest owners in the leagues, which I didn't know that until literally this summer. Do you guys know that Winnipeg has the richest owners in the league?
Who is it?
I want to say it's the guys that own some sort of telecommunications and a bunch of other stuff, but they're worth like something like 4 or 6 million or something like that. It's something like that.
It wouldn't be Rogers family. We'd know that.
I think it'd be cool to see Winnipeg there, considering how turbulent the kind of team has been over the last 2 seasons with all the shit that's gone down since Laine's left, really, and all that kind of drama. So yeah, I'd say Vancouver for Winnipeg in the West. In the East, obviously the Leafs, and personally I'd like to see them beat, obviously, like it doesn't, unless the Leafs or Boston were in a wild card spot and played the Metro division, it wouldn't happen. But seeing in the conference finals, being Boston versus the Leafs, just finally getting over that dragon for so long.
It's like a prophecy.
Exactly, yeah. Like it would just be nice to see. I wouldn't mind beating Tampa again because they beat us like 3 times or something like that, 2 or 3 times. Again, like somehow those teams meeting in the conference finals is kind of unlikely. I'd say also maybe versus Carolina, because they've had, just such a consistent team over the past, 5 years, and then kind of a traditionally non-hockey market compared to how the Leafs have been super inconsistent and a very, hockey obsessed market. It'd be cool to see to kind of my own personal dragon being the Carolina Hurricanes, defeating them.
You want them to lose?
No, defeating the Hurricanes.
Oh, defeating the Hurricanes.
Why would I possibly want the Hurricanes to beat the Leafs in the conference finals?
Who is your pick for Rookie of the Year? I find this really interesting because I hate the dick riding. I hate it. I've watched them all unwillingly. Yeah. You know who I'm talking about.
Bedard. And I agree with the dick riding.
It's not true.
What?
He's not.
Oh, yeah. No, I'm not saying that's my pick.
Okay,
I'm saying the dick riding. That's what you're talking about. My pick for Rookie of the Year, who I want to go with, is Ridley Gregg. Let's go, Sens. I love Ridley Gregg's game. That's not who I'm actually going to pick.
Really?
I think the Rookie of the Year is going to be Boston's little guy, Matt Poitras. Is that how you pronounce it? Yeah. I don't know how to pronounce it, but that's my best guess. I think that's who's going to win Rookie of the Year. I honestly think he's been playing better than Bedard has to start the year. Bedard's been more of like a rush player and a power play player, whereas like Poitras has been great 5-on-5 and an OZP, and that's kind of where you want to be good. He's been awesome to start the year, and Bedard's going to be great. Don't get me wrong, but I agree with Mike that the dick riding's a lot.
Oh, you guys really made it hard to say Bedard, and I won't. I agree.
Oh shit!
Switch up. Bedard does get a lot of praise, and he's a super exciting player, which I love watching exciting hockey. I love watching highlight reel goals. But at the end of the day, I think it's going to be a defense this year. I think it's going to be Luke Hughes. I think that the Hughes have done some great parenting. I don't know what the hell they were feeding their kids when they were younger, but 3 all-star players. He's having a great year with New Jersey, and I definitely feel like going forward he's going to be a staple or a real big piece for the New Jersey Devils' success. And yeah, I think he's put it up 10 points already in the season as a defenseman, a rookie defenseman, which is way more than most defensemen who have been in the league for 10 plus years have gotten. So yeah, I say Luke Hughes. I would ask Jack, but I don't want to. So yeah, it's definitely a Leafs player. So yeah, that's a wrap. Thanks everyone for listening. I hope everyone has a great day. And if you have any comments, please put them down so we can answer them next podcast.
It's Marco Rossi.
Big. Oh yeah, you didn't answer either.
It's
did
Marco
you?
Rossi.
Yeah.
It's
You
Marco
didn't let
Rossi.
any of them answer.
I don't care.
Our two guests. Treat them well, Robbie.
The question wasn't for them.
Yeah. So Mike's going with Marco Rossi, and yeah, I just want to thank Mike and Jack for coming on this podcast. Big help. We got a long episode for you this time, and I love that. More content, lots to talk about, lots to listen to when you tune in. So thanks. This has been the Puck Prattlers podcast.